Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the June 20th, 2023 meeting of the Wayne City Council. If I could everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mayor Racy,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Porter,
Here.
Councilman Dowd,
Here.
Councilman Brock,
Here.
Councilwoman Was. Here. Councilman Clearman,
Here.
Councilman Mulholland.
Here.
Quorum is present. First item on the agenda is to approve the agenda.
Move to approve, Clearman.
Mayor, if I may, I need to make one request for one addition to the agenda, please.
Okay.
Could you please add Tom Porter's resignation to 6G on the agenda, please?
Okay with the motion maker, then?
Yep.
Okay. And second?
I second that.
Second?
Yeah,
I said it.
but he made the motion first.
Okay.
He amended it.
So you're fine, so he's the second.
I know, but I made a revision. So that's a different kind of motion. I don't know, Mr. Clearman, do you want to rescind your?
I'll rescind.
Okay.
Now
Now I have the motion on the table. Mr. Clearman, would you like to second my motion?
I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other changes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item number 2, City Council minutes, 2A, regular meeting of June 6, 2023.
Move to approve, Clearman. Support, Porter.
Any changes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Public questions regarding items on the agenda. Public comment is conducted in accordance with local, state, and federal laws. Each public comment is limited to 3 minutes, which will begin when the speaker approaches the podium unless modified by a majority vote of City Council. Public comment shall not be disruptive nor contain any profanity, racial, ethnic, religious, sexual, or national origin slurs or overtones. Public comment shall not contain defaming or slanderous personal attacks. All public comments shall be directed to the City Council. The City Council will not respond during public comments. And any violation of the public comment procedure shall constitute a breach of the peace. If a member of the public engages in such breach of the peace, they may be ordered to be seated immediately or removed from the meeting by the chairperson of that meeting.
Okay, any public comment on the agenda items this evening?
Your agenda item arrives at 6D. The approval of this resolution for an ad hoc committee to review an extension of the city manager. Nope, not here. Contract. Number 1, I'd like to see the contract again. I have stated through this city manager, the city of Wayne does not always operate on electricity and the website. We do have documents that are required and required by law to be available for the public. You go ahead and read it as you pay your water bill, and you see the agenda. Now, tonight, I, as a citizen, come here to express my opinion or thoughts, find that it's not here. What is missing? a document that says that last meeting, stretch your minds backwards, on the 6th of June, that you all had a conversation in an ad hoc committee, and it was chosen. I'm blindsided. I never saw it. As for some other witnesses that come to these meetings regularly, I never heard you talk about it. Never heard you talk about it. Never seen it bring up. But oh yes, we can make a change because that's on the website. And I'll speak with my other item, it's on an item not on the agenda. But this 28-cent,
That'll be at the end.
pardon?
The item's not on the agenda, will be at the end.
No, I got 20, you interrupt me, sir.
It's items on the agenda.
This is on,
You just said it wasn't. Anyone else? Items on the agenda this evening? Okay, seeing none, please move the agenda.
Item number 3, bid awards. 3A, approval of bid award for janitorial services for routine cleaning of the 29th District Court Building. Administration recommends accepting the bid from the Services to Enhance Potential, STEP, in the amount of $380 per month to be paid from the 29th District Court budget. The bidders were as follows: LGC Global Facility Management of Detroit, $280 per month. STEP, $380 per month. Lakeshore Janitorial Specialist, Harper Woods, Michigan, $480 per month. Wilkins Pro Clean Incorporated, Detroit, Michigan, $500 per month. Clean Net of Greater Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, $563 per month. Dustbusters Cleaning Service LLC, Brownstown Township, Michigan, $950 a month.
Move to approve, Brock.
Support Was.
Good evening.
Discussion?
Did you want everything you want to talk about?
No, not unless you have any questions.
Sure.
We have a lower bid from LLC Global Facility Management. George says we're gonna take the lowest bid unless there's a reason to believe they can't do the job.
Do you want to speak on that?
We currently have LGC, Global Facility Management. Their current cleaning is unsatisfactory to the court. We have to complain weekly on what wasn't done, so we're, in essence, paying for, services that we are not getting.
Thank you.
STEP currently doing the services for the court itself?
Not at this time. The contract would start July 1st.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Have the issues you have with the current company been discussed with the new companies? Do they know what has been missed and what you're expecting?
I did, and also, they were our previous, cleaner, and we had no issues with them.
Thank you.
Any other questions? The city manager's not here tonight. Do we know if we're having any issues in our other buildings? Okay.
Who are our other buildings handled by?
LGC Global.
So if we're not having an issue with them, why are we going with STEP?
Because we have current issues. I have emails to, Mr. Queen and also, the project manager stating the issues that we've had in the past.
But Mr. Queen just said they're not having issues.
Mr. Queen?
He asked other buildings.
Currently, we had LGC Global, which we still do. They currently clean the DPW 5 days a week. They clean City Hall 3 days a week, and Building and Engineering 3 days a week, and then the court 1 day a week. And so the service was not up, what they would expect as far as having at the court. And so she decided to go ahead and, she was having a lot of issues that she would send me, so I was acting as the middle person between LGC Global just to kind of get them to comply and everything, and they still just weren't, for whatever reason, able to meet the standards. They have bulletproof glass over there that they needed cleaned, was a special chemical, wasn't being done, some of those things. The other buildings are more, they're basic, where it doesn't require some of those extra things that they need to pay attention to. It's more or less just your vacuuming and glass cleaning of just the regular windows and everything, so. But their service for the rest of the buildings is satisfactory as far as what we would expect and everything, so. But otherwise, they do not want to have LGC Global at this point anymore because they need to have that level of service that's a little bit higher than some of the other buildings.
All right, so really, we're just saying it's unsatisfactory for the court, but we're going to continue using them in the other buildings?
I'm sorry?
Really, we're saying it's just unsatisfactory for the court, but we'll continue to consider them for other buildings in the future?
There's currently still with the contract, so I basically had to talk to LGC Global just to make sure they were okay with the court backing out of the current contract, which they are, and normally will extend for year after year as long as we're still satisfied with their service, which we are. So they'll continue on with the other 3 buildings at this point.
Thank you for the clarification. Here with you.
Any other questions?
Mayor, I just noticed also that I failed to put STEP as a Wayne-based business. I usually put where they're from next to the name, and on your agenda, it just says STEP, though they are a Wayne-based business.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yep.
Item 3B, approval of the bid award for 2023 Stellwagen Lift Station and EQ Basin Improvement Project. Administration recommends accepting the bid from CSM Mechanical, Fenton, Michigan, in the amount of $2,633,439 to be paid from the Water and Sewer Fund. And the bidders were as follows: CSM Mechanical, Fenton, Michigan, $2,633,439. Midwest Power Systems of Milford, Michigan, $2,761,288. Z Contractors Incorporated, Shelby, Michigan, $2,978,000.
Move to approve, Clearman.
Which bid?
Support Dowd.
Did you say the,
CSM?
okay, is that fine? Any questions?
Yeah, I got a couple questions.
Yes.
Can we get the timeline on this happening?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. The timeline looks like probably 9 months out from ordering the parts once the project is approved.
Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 4 on the agenda, appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. 4A, approval of the reappointment of Mr. John Mills of Chestnut Street to the Wayne Historical Commission for a 3-year term to expire July 2026.
Move to approve Dowd.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
4B, approval of the reappointment of Claudia Buckaloo, Parkview Street, to the Wayne Historical Commission for a 3-year term to expire July 2026.
Move to approve, Lost.
Support Porter.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
4C, approval of the reappointment of Ms. Nicole Conklin, Phyllis Street, to the Wayne Historical Commission for a 3-year term to also expire July 2026.
Move to approve, Lost.
Support Mulholland.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 4D, approval of the appointment of Miss Emily Gabler of Laura Street to the Wayne Planning Commission to fill an unexpired term to expire July 2025.
Move to approve, Dowd.
Support Loss.
Okay, and I've got a little bit of information on Emily. She's a first-year resident in Wayne. She's work experience is a digital engagement associate for Ford Motor Company, and she has a bachelor's in science, business, sales, technology, and liberal arts degree. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 4E, approval of the appointment of Miss Rachel Botu, Michigan Avenue, to the Wayne Downtown Development Authority for a 4-year term to expire July 2027.
Move to approve, Clearman?
Support, Porter.
Okay. Any questions? Yes.
Did we lose someone from the DDA? Is that why there is an opening that's being filled?
I actually think they were adding.
Yeah,
One.
there was an opening that should have been filled.
It's just a vacant spot?
Yes, and we actually need to look at that because I think we need to fill one more spot in the DDA. I believe it's supposed to be 8 people.
Maybe check with Lori when.
Yeah, we'll do that. I was looking through that. Yes, there was a vacancy. And Rachel owns Flowers in the Mitten at 34852 West Michigan Avenue. Business owner of 4 years and served on the Romulus DDA. So she has some experience with that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carries.
Item 4F, approval of the resignation of Miss Michelle Nedslick from the Parks and Trails Committee, effective immediately.
Move to approve Loss.
Support, Dowd.
Questions? Yes.
I'd just like to say as a member of the committee that Michelle's been a huge help over the years, and I'd like that we write a letter of appreciation to her.
Of course.
We will. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 5, communications and reports, a receive and file of 5A revenue and expenditure report for a period ending May of 2023.
Have we added item 4G for Tom's resignation?
That's under general items.
Thank you.
Receive and file.
Item number 6, general items. 6A, approval of budget amendment 2023-4.
Move to approve, Dowd.
Support Brock.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6B, approval of a contract with Hagira Health to provide embedded social worker services in the amount of $2,915.42 per month to be paid from the police department budget.
Move to approve Brock.
Support, Dowd.
Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So I talked about the embedded social worker quite a bit during the budget study sessions, but just a real brief overview. The embedded social worker would be shared with 2 other departments, Van Buren Township and the city of Romulus, and they would just assist the police department with folks in the community who are struggling with mental health, substance abuse, that type of thing. Quite often, law enforcement is called to situations that don't necessarily involve violations of the law, but when people need help, they call us. I don't know where else to turn. So this will just be able to give us a few more options, be able to help the folks who live here in the city of Wayne. And quite frankly, sometimes folks who are experiencing some significant mental health issues will go to their house time and time and time again, sometimes a dozen times in a week. So hopefully we can get those folks some help so our resources can be used throughout the city.
Okay, questions? Council Clearman?
Is Van Buren and Romulus paying the same amount we are?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So Chief, so you guys will kind of evaluate this and then make a recommendation for more if we see that as a positive thing, or try to get more grant money?
Yes, thank you for the question, Mr. Mayor. It's a new program, so we're gonna do some evaluation, not just about moving forward, if it's enough or not enough or too much, but, you know, how she's gonna be deployed. Will she come to Wayne on Mondays, or will it be split up, et cetera? Some communities have found that, they need more than expected. They might need a full-time person, they might need two. Some have found not enough work. So it'll be a work in progress. I suspect certainly by the end of this coming budget year, we'll know more. But just judging from other communities, for instance, there's a split social worker between Northville Township, the city of Northville, and the city of Plymouth, and that's worked out pretty well. And that's a pretty similar different community sizes to what we've got going here. So I'm quite optimistic that it will be a good fit. And I've met the person who will be a social worker, and I think she's a great fit for it.
No, I think it's a great thing for the community. I just know our calls are probably 60-70% mental health, or they're on the higher side.
It's certain,
So,
I mean,
for
it's,
sure.
mental health and substance abuse definitely plays a role in both what we respond to and what Chief Stratner's
Responding to.
respond to.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions? Yes, Councilman Mulholland?
Chief, is this amount that is reflected here, the $2,915.42, is that what the other two communities are paying also then? We're splitting this three ways, so I'm assuming they're all paying, we're each paying 1/3.
Yes, Councilman, it's an even three-way split. We didn't try and divide it based on population or anything. It's just a straight three-way split.
And that includes benefits?
Yes. But I would just say we are paying Hagira Health. So if there was some sort, any issues with the employment, that would be dealt with Hagira. If there was a raise in benefits or something, that's not ours. Correct.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Chief.
Excuse me, item 6C, approval of data sharing agreement with Wayne County Sheriff's Office.
Move to approve, Clearman?
Support, Dowd.
Good evening, Chief.
Right on. Thank you, sir. This is just a simple agreement. It doesn't cost the city of Wayne any money. It just allows us to get some data that the Wayne County Sheriff's Department has, particularly if we're looking for a fugitive. There's no cost to it.
Any questions? Nope. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6D, approval of a resolution to create an ad hoc committee to review an extension of the city manager employment contract.
Move to approve, Dowd.
Support, Porter.
Okay. Ms. Leslie? Questions?
On the packet, it says approval of resolution to create an ad hoc committee. The detail, it says one committee to handle negotiations. Which is the, you handle negotiations?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, it's to the mayor to appoint a council or a committee to discuss the negotiations of the city manager contract. So once the committee is formed, then we'll take and we'll review it, in which we listed the appointees. We'll take and we'll get a list of requests from the city manager and then discuss any requests or changes that the council may want in the city manager's contract. And then go put that together and then submit it for approval in front of the entire council. Any other questions?
Could you explain to me how the ad hoc committee was decided, the members of the committee? This is, until it got hit to the agenda, I hadn't heard about it. I wasn't aware that we were, I mean, I understand the mayor appointed them, but how did that process work? Were other people considered? How did that work, I guess I'm asking?
Again, the authority is by the mayor to appoint whom they choose to participate. The recommendation was made by our city attorney to develop the committee. So this is coming down from the attorneys as far as to develop a committee.
I understand that. I'm asking how were the people selected specifically?
They were,
That's what I'm asking.
they were so,
No one called me and asked me. I'm wondering how this was formed.
it was, I came up with the names. I talked to the mayor pro tem. He wasn't interested in participating because of his health. And then I chose on seniority. So I chose Councilman Dowd and Councilwoman Was because they have the longest time on the council and have the most experience with the city manager. Yes.
Received a call or an email from another councilman saying they had been asked about this. So was it just Dowd and Was, or?
I only talked to Dowd and Was.
Okay. Wondering how the other person heard about it then.
I didn't talk to him. I didn't talk to him about being on it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes, I have something to say. Thank you for being with us this evening. This is what I have to say about this special committee. This was known about in May. Nothing was said to me about it until a few days ago when I received an agenda talking about reviewing a contract. Then the agenda was released again with the names of the committee members. There was no communication about this to me. The elected official that started this must have spoken to his direct colleague, I would assume, but no word is coming from there either. Obviously, the two ordered to the committee must have been spoken to. As for me, however, now in the minority, because four council members had apparently already been decided on their actions and were secure in the vote, there was no mention. I believe it was generally believed by this group that no explanation was necessary because they had already gotten what they wanted. I hope this state of affairs sounds familiar to my fellow citizens, as you may have heard people talk about something like this in the past. But here, the thing happened and is happening right now in front of you. I don't hear from my council people. There is no communication. I hear from the mayor sometimes if a vote is needed or my opinion is needed. Other than that, however, apparently, I'm just an empty chair to them, like the many empty chairs in this chamber that should be filled with citizens, but are not, because they realize that they were not getting the whole story and probably never would. My words won't change much tonight, no matter what happens. It is a terrible thing, I must say, when accusations are made and then mocked and put aside as wild speculation and tend to see them come true. I strongly urge the citizens again to participate in your government so that your elected officials do what you need them to do and not what they feel like doing. Look around you. Can you think of anything that you might want your elected officials to do other than wasting your time and money? Thank you.
Councilman Clearman?
One question for Mr. Bosnick. Did the three people who were potentially in the committee recuse themselves from this vote?
No, I don't believe so. Why? It's an ad hoc committee basically to brainstorm and bounce ideas. I don't think, I think all the council's views would be valued. It's going to be the council that decides on the contract and the type of contract and the things that go into the contract. There seems to be some displeasure regarding this issue, but I guess I'm somewhat at a loss as to why there may be some consternation about this.
I'm concerned about the language to handle negotiations.
Well, it's basically a subset of the body to participate, bounce ideas, come up with things that maybe the council might want in the contract, some things the council may want taken out, as well as the city manager. She would take input in terms of things she may want and things she may want out. But at the end of the day, it's going to be this body, the council, that's going to make the decision on it. Just like it was, I think, 4 years ago, and there's a closed session where there's frank and open discussion and everybody's views are heard. So for the council members that weren't maybe part of that 4 years ago, I definitely left the impression that everybody was listened to on council. Maybe the current council members that were there 4 years ago can sort of speak to that.
So ultimately, will this be decided in a closed session?
No, it's going to have to be voted. Contract would have to be voted on in open session, but there are going to be discussions in closed session regarding performance evaluation, the contract, and things like that, just as there were 4 years ago.
Thank you.
If
If I can just ask a question. Mayor, I know that you have two committees right now, one being for rules and procedures and one being for potential items for the ballot for our charter. Can someone tell me how those two committees were configured, or who assigned them?
I did.
And I think that's what the charter says, that the mayor can create committees.
I haven't looked at the particular section, but I wouldn't disagree with that.
No, it's in the RCC for everything. We put it in the community ready, development ready thing, so it's not everything is listed in there.
I mean, ultimately, it's the decision of council whether to have the ad hoc committee, so, or any committee.
But if we want to have, the city manager's contract's going to be coming up, and if we want to have a city manager, we have to go forward on something.
Right, yeah, I don't disagree with that, but
Yeah.
the resolution is before the body of council this evening to create the ad hoc committee. So ultimately, the decision rests with the council whether the ad hoc committee will exist or not. I mean, isn't this how it was done 4 years ago?
We didn't have to do the resolution, but that was something John Clark decided that he recommended to Elise.
But I remember there being a
Yes.
subcommittee, yeah.
Yeah, there was three of us that met with them.
That was my recollection,
And then we went into a closed session
with everybody.
with everybody and talked about everything. And then we came into open session and voted on it.
I would like to move then that we go into a closed session to discuss this. I don't agree with the process. For the mayor to appoint himself, we're always talking about open meeting acts. So the mayor has talked to the mayor, to the mayor pro tem, councilperson Was, and the councilperson Dow. None of the other members of council were spoken to about this, but we had 4 people that were talked to about this. It sounds exactly like a way to garner 4 votes, which I'm under the impression is illegal to do that. I can call council members and ask them if they will support me and vote on the items on the agenda. I've always been told I can't do that. I'm disappointed that the intention here isn't to review a process for finding the next city manager. It's going straight to reviewing the current city manager's contract and extending it. I'm interested, we're now a member of the Michigan Municipal League. We have the opportunity to have them assist us with a search for a city manager. If our city manager is interested in continuing employment, the city manager could take part in that process, apply for the job, and we could see if there's other people out there who are qualified for this position. It makes perfect sense to me. We have a contract. I don't agree with having a contract. We haven't always had a contract for city managers. This isn't something that's in the charter. This isn't something that's expected, that all we do is bring it up and put it on form our own committee without discussing it with the other members of council. Apply that rule and form your own committee and move forward in a direction that obviously we're not all in agreement with. If this was a resolution that said to form a committee to consider moving forward in the city manager selection process, I would be interested in it. Some of us have backgrounds and experience that would probably prove pretty relevant. I've done a city manager search before for the city of Wayne. I think I would be someone that would be valuable. Apparently, the mayor didn't think that, but if we want to go by straight seniority, that's an easy way around that. I think it's a terrible precedent that we're setting. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you do something. Reaching out to the fellow members for such an important agenda item, reaching out to the fellow members on city council and getting their input and finding out what direction they're interested in going to is, to me, how a leader would handle this, rather than appointing themselves and 2 others to a committee to move forward in a direction that I don't even think you know what direction others are interested in going. If I'm wrong on that, please let me know, but I'm very disappointed with this process. I think it's something that's being rammed down our throats. I'm not interested in moving forward with a ad hoc committee to review an extension. I'm interested in moving forward with a selection process for our next city manager that would involve the MML.
One, on 6G tonight, the mayor pro tem's resigning, so that makes 3. So that theory is gone. There isn't a.
What theory?
You just said the 4 votes thing.
What does this agenda item have to do with the next agenda item? How is that related? I'm not talking about agenda item G. I'm talking about agenda item B.
I'm saying that because you just made an accusation that we, about
And
mayor.
because he's resigning means that isn't so?
It's not. I asked them if they were interested in being part of a committee.
Did you ask
That's it.
Councilman Clearman if he was interested?
I didn't need to.
Did you ask Councilman Brock if he was interested?
I didn't
Did you
need
ask
to.
Councilman Mulholland if he was
No, I
interested?
did not. It's the same process that when Susan Rowe was here, I'm following the
I'm
exact
not
same
interested in
process.
doing what everyone else has done in the past.
Point of order.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve the agenda for the ad hoc committee. Shall we move forward with a roll call, or does council have more questions?
Was Councilman Clearman's, was that a motion to call the vote? I didn't hear,
No,
I didn't hear what
It
that
You
said.
call
Point
it
of
for
order.
point of order.
With point of order.
Okay, okay. So I guess is there any more discussion? If
Yeah, I'd like to say something. I'm going to say I completely agree in part with what Councilman Mulholland is saying. If one council person knows something, all council people need to know it, period. It shouldn't be in stages. I can make an assumption that everybody was communicated on this matter, and in fact, it's not my job to make sure that it is communicated. It's the person in the chair's job to communicate to all council completely and in the same manner. We all should have the same information at all times. And I'm a little upset to find out that some people didn't.
I will apologize for raising my voice. I'm a little passionate about this. I get very little communication from the mayor or other members of the city council. We had 2 people died in our city this year, and I never got a phone call, even when those happened. We got an email. We don't have great communication, in my opinion. We had an investigation into our city manager that resulted in a report that nothing was done when that report was submitted to the city. And the city is not allowing that to be read by residents except in a redacted form, even though we have it available online through the court system. I think all of these things cumulatively together, along with other issues residents have had recently that required investigations into people's actions, because of all these things cumulatively, I don't think our first course of action should be to go to this contract and review it and extend it. We should consider other options. I don't know who made the motion on this, but if whoever made the motion on this would consider rescinding it, I'd like to table this until we can put together a committee that would be interested and inclusive of all viewpoints on the city council, to form a committee that would be interested in moving forward with the selection process for a city manager.
If I may, can I ask a question?
Hold on a second.
I would just like to say, first of all, that for Councilman Brock, no offense in any way, but phone works both ways. I haven't heard from you either. I feel bad but you're right, communication isn't great. We're not calling each other. But at the same time, we don't want to run into, we're talking to too many people and it starts being, so I am very sparse on calling other council people because I do not want to get involved in the oh, they're calling each other and now they're discussing it, so I don't want that. That's why I don't do that very often. As far as this situation goes, I was called and I was asked if I wanted to participate. I said yes. Whether or not anyone else was asked, I did not know. Thirdly, as far as this goes, if someone would want to table this tonight, and we can have a closed session and decide as a council where we want to go with this, I would be for that.
I'd like to speak because I think people were finger pointing at me too. And I am offended by what you're saying. And I am offended by what you're saying. And the fact of the matter is, I don't call, but you can't tell me that you have not received an email with two other bodies in emails from me sharing. That's communicating. So don't downplay what any one single person has done. Now, I can say without exception, I've never received an email from you. Never. Never received a response. Never. So it goes both ways. Okay? Because it does take 6 calls to go through. That's hard to do. But it is easy to have a conversation via email with Alfred Brock and Deb Wass and myself, and I share something. That's 3 people. That's legal. And that's how I've been operating since I've been on council. But don't finger point that you're not getting communication. You're downplaying it, and it's offensive. Now, on the other side of it, I'm all for tabling this. I rescind my motion on this matter, and I look forward to seeing how we're going to handle this. And just so you know, you're not the only HR professional on this board.
Didn't say I was.
You stood right up on top of that box, and you put yourself there.
Point of order.
And you pulled your resume out, as a matter of
I
fact.
said I was the only.
You pulled your resume out, as a fact.
Point of order.
That's professional.
Oh.
We're going to take a 5-minute recess.
Professional? You know what? Fine. You got what you wanted, didn't you?
Can we take a recess?
Yeah, I just.
We had a motion on the table by Councilman Dowd. Oh,
I rescinded
first of all,
that.
we are reconvening, and it is 7:51. And so we had the motion, Councilman Dowd, you rescind your
Yes.
motion, and we had support by Mayor Pro Tem Porter, so Mayor Pro Tem Porter,
I do.
okay? Both been rescinded, so at this point, we're,
At this
No, we're
point, the
with this.
agenda item is on the table, so it would remain to be seen if someone else wants to make a motion, have that seconded. If it does, it continues with discussion. If it is not moved and seconded, then we would just move on to the next item on the agenda.
If I can just say something on this matter, I'm all for every council person being on this committee. I have no problem with that. And I don't know if that is possible or not, but I don't know if we need to go in layers, so, you know, when we go through the interview process or the candidate process or the renewal process, let's just have everybody on this thing and not have an issue of partisanship, for the lack of a better word.
Well, I just quite not sure what this, I mean, we're trying to get the information from the city manager, get some information together so that then we can go to all the council. So that's what we were trying to do. But this committee is trying to organize that stuff with the city labor attorney and personnel so that we have all the information that we can go to a council meeting or to a closed session and talk about it and figure out what we want to do next. But if we don't have the information, trying to do that. That's why I only asked you guys, would you want to serve on a committee? I've already, I mean, put other things together, talking with the personnel on what to do, possible, but we wanted to have the committee decide what that was once we formed a committee, so we could move forward in trying to figure things out. So I'm not exactly sure how you, short of just myself and the labor attorney and personnel, get the information, and then we bring it to the council. I guess that's the solution. If that's, you know, that's, not sure what else you do. But we have a contract expiring, and we need to figure out what to do. Normally, you're not out there looking for somebody when you have a perfectly capable person in the seat, and we need to discuss those items of the person that we have in that seat. And without having those discussions, you can't figure that out. But you have to start somewhere. I'm not exactly sure why all this tonight has happened. I think, just trying to put together the proper way, working with the city labor attorney and personnel department. Everything's been followed to the letter. City attorney?
I guess just,
Darren, to this, when does the contract expire?
I believe it's
September 30th, is it?
So we have a little time to figure this out yet?
Pardon me?
You have some time to figure this out yet?
Not a lot. I mean,
Well,
not really.
Just, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Yes.
I guess just to reiterate that I think this 4 years ago, there was a subcommittee of the council, and they took input from everybody on council. They gathered the information. They, I guess, brainstormed on, I think the members of the committee were the mayor pro tem, and I don't remember who the third person was. But, and things seemed to move pretty smoothly, and every council person's voice was heard. I never heard any allegation that people's voices weren't heard. So that was how I believe our office recommended that we proceed during this negotiation session, just like we did 4 years ago. So if the council wants to go in a different direction, that's the desire of the body. The motion or the resolution that was on the agenda is up to the council to decide whether they want to have that ad hoc committee or not. If there are 4 or more council members that want to have that committee, it'll be created. If there aren't, then it won't be created, and we'll help design some sort of alternative way to enter into the negotiation process. But it sounds to me like some folks might feel badly or feel slighted, but I'm viewing this as an inclusive type of thing, and historically, everybody has been heard on council, and I would be surprised if everybody wasn't heard on council.
Mayor,
Yes.
through the mayor to the attorney, is it possible for this to be included in a closed session? The discussion, if the whole council wants to discuss this?
Well, I'm trying to recall what we did. I know 4 years ago there was a closed session.
Yes,
I don't recall what the
But-
resolution was. I don't know if it was a memo that was generated from the city attorney's office that went in discussion. I don't know if it was in a closed session based on like the evaluation of an employee. I don't recall what the particular, subsection was that we went in a closed session, but I know there was a closed session because I remember.
but
seeing
that
through it.
was to review the recommendations of the committee. What they're asking for, from what I hear, is 7 members or 6, if I'm no longer here, go into closed session to discuss this. And this is going to be, I hope everybody's ready for hours and hours and hours of closed session, because to discuss this, it needs to be done in closed session. There's going to be things said similar to what I heard just a few minutes ago. There was nothing done about a report. That's not true. We followed the recommendations of the attorney. There were 2 choices. We took the choice of rewriting handbooks, redoing everything, retraining the people in City Hall. That is false. And so we don't want, if the majority decides that we should retain the city manager, we don't want it in open session, all this discussion, because there's going to be things that aren't true. We know that from labor. Many times you get a lot of things that aren't true said. And so it would have to be done in closed session. If council's ready to sit in closed session for hours and hours and hours to discuss all of this and decide if they want this city manager or do they want to move on, I think actually 6D was not worded properly, because when the mayor and I talked about it, we discussed whether there was a feeling, do we want to retain the city manager? Is this, it's a review. To review an extension means, well, maybe I don't want it. Maybe I don't want the city manager anymore. So I'm reviewing it and saying no. So I think the feeling is here tonight that this committee is only to look at it and say, okay, what are we going to put in her contract? That's not necessarily so. The committee can sit down and say, no, we no longer want this city manager.
Right.
And let's move forward.
And the council could as well.
So, but what I'm saying is, if we're going to do a bunch of discussion, it all needs to be done in closed session, because I don't want any more falsehoods about this report and all this other stuff that you hear.
And my recollection is that's how it happened 4 years ago. Unless I'm mistaken, that's my recollection.
It is. I was not on the committee, by the way. I don't remember who was on. But, thank you, that's all.
Yes.
So I can clear up so people understand where I'm coming from. The memo dated June 2nd, 2023, RE Appointment Committee for City Manager Contract Extension. Request item for the June 20th, 2023 council agenda for Mayor John Racy to appoint a committee to handle negotiations for the city manager's contract extension that expires on September 30th, 2023. To me, that doesn't leave the door open for any other options other than handling negotiations for the city manager's contract extension. It does not say to talk about the process for the city manager's position. It talks about specifically handling contract extension negotiations. So if someone had spoken to me and explained that to me ahead of time, or if that was in this memo, then I would understand that and would be inclined to support that. But the way it's written in black and white here, it says we're handling negotiations to extend the city manager's contract. I'm interested in having a process to go out on a search for a city manager If our city manager is interested in applying, she can apply for that. And then we will get other applicants, review them, and then from the pool of available people that we feel are good choices for the city of Wayne, then we would make a selection from that pool. So people understand where I'm coming from.
Yes.
I'm the one that wrote this request, and I may have got confused with the word handle. It could be used to discuss, it could be a number of other words. I used handle. So if that's the word that's caught everybody off guard, my apologies, I'll own that one. But it's really just, again, to form a committee, to discuss, to review, to find out what, if anything, that the city manager's requests are, and what, if anything, the council may want changed to go forward to discuss negotiations with the city manager. And again, you do have you have a contract with a current city manager, and typical, you want to find out if you do want to decide if you want to go forward with this city manager with a contract to extend it, or again, you can make those discussions of if you want to go with somebody else. But that's what the committee would be discussing. So again, I'll own the word handle if that was misunderstood. Any other questions?
City Attorney?
Oh, thank you. So at this point, I guess the question on the floor is there another motion to move item 6D?
D.
And does it have support? Or if there is no motion and no support, then the clerk would be directed to move the agenda to the next item.
Okay.
So there's no motion on 6D?
I guess not.
Okay.
Move the agenda.
Yep.
Moving the agenda. Item 6E, approval of the professional service agreement with Stantec Incorporated of Ann Arbor, Michigan for construction engineering related to the Stellwagen lift station and the EQ basin for an amount not to exceed $93,400 to be paid from the Water and Sewer Fund.
Move to approve, Clearman.
Support Was.
Any questions for Mr. Byton? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6F, approval of the City of Wayne, Michigan Department of Natural Resources Spark Grant Program, resolution for removal and replacement of the walking and jogging path and outdoor gym equipment at Atwood Park. And all of you have before you that resolution. Part of it was incorrect. That was corrected and resent to you.
Move to approve, Clearman.
Support, Porter.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6G, to approval and acceptance of the resignation of Mayor Pro Tem Tom Porter.
Move to approve, Dowd, with regret.
Support Was with regret.
Discussion?
I would like to say that I do not want to accept your resignation, but I understand your reasons. You are a very strong member of this community.
Anyone else? Yes.
We could read what Tom said, but if that's your prerogative, Tom, whether you'd like to or not. But I'd like to commend you on years of service, Tom. I know we've had conversations in the past about being on city council, and it's not always an easy job. A lot of people run thinking that it's easy, it's fun, it's you're gonna be some kind of big shot or something. What it really is it's very difficult. When you're working in a city that has a structural deficit, when you care about your city, decisions keep you up at night. There's things that you have to make decisions on that affect people's lives. And I know that there hasn't ever been a decision that you've made easily, that you have put your heart and soul into the position. I think you've done a wonderful job of being a communicator and trying to find common ground for people. You're going to be sorely missed, but I understand completely your reasons for going, and I wish you and your wife the best. And I will think about you on Tuesday nights when we're here and you're sitting at home in your recliner, hopefully watching a baseball game. Thanks, Tom.
Anyone else? Councilman Clearman?
I just want to say thank you, Councilman Porter. You've been an inspiration to a lot of us. We haven't always agreed on everything, but you've always put a lot of things. You've always put a lot of thought into what you vote on, one way or the other. And that's a lot of integrity right there. We're going to miss you, and you're not replaceable. Thank you.
Councilman Dowd?
Yeah, thank you. Tom, I just want to say that you are by far the most intelligent and thoughtful person on this council. And I only know that because I've worked with you on this matter, through some very difficult situations, some very difficult decisions. And there's nobody that I know on council that takes more time to understand the detail before making a decision. You're a true role model to being a council person for a small city like this. And I look forward to still seeing you as a friend and a neighbor.
Yep. Too emotional today.
Nothing for you.
Nope. Love you, Tom.
Tom, I mean, we've talked, I'm very sad to see you go, but I understand, you know, your health comes first, your family comes first, and I know that this is not a decision that you've made lightly. You've served this community with great pride and have been very supportive and have always given your best through some really, really trying times that we've both been through. I know that this, like I said, I know that this decision isn't been easy for you, but I respect your decision, and thank you for your service to our community. All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 7 is administration reports, and I know that the city manager wanted to convey that the city manager sent a FOIA request document to Mr. Osborne so that he can request the legal information he is seeking through that avenue, and that she sent that U.S. mail over a week ago. And then also, I think, Chief Strong, do you want to talk about the Boil Water Advisory?
Thank you.
Yes.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I just wanted to talk real briefly about the ways in which we advise the community about the Boil Water Advisory. So obviously the Boil Water Advisory came from Great Lakes Water Authority, where the city gets their water. So once we heard from them officially that there was a Boil Water Advisory, we the city manager, Mr. Queen, and I kind of brainstormed different ways to get it out to the community as quickly and widespread as possible. As noted in the, I believe the last council meeting, one of the ways we reached out to the community was through Facebook and other social media. We started with the police department's page because it has the most followers and gets the most traction. Many of our posts sometimes get 20, 30,000 views by the community, so that was the way we started. I believe it was shared on the city's page as well, but per the city manager's suggestion, we started on the police department's page just because we get the widest views. As several citizens noted, lots of people aren't on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. I don't have a Facebook account, so that's not how I get my information. So if you noted, it was on all the local news stations, it was on the radio stations, and it was in the newspaper. The Free Press and whatnot. Jeff Martin also had put it on the city's webpage and the city's cable. Next time, per Councilman Dowd had a great suggestion about when we put it on city cable, if those of you watch city cable, it rotates during different things. If we have something like this again, we're going to just put this one thing on there rather than having it rotate through. So with that being said, if anybody has any other further suggestions about moving forward, how to get information out there, but we had it on Nixle as well, for those of you who signed up for us, so you get text message alerts. So in summary, it was on city social media, city cable, city website, local news, local newspaper, radio, and Nixle. If there's somebody you're aware of in the community who doesn't have access to all of those different things, let us know. I'll go knock on their door personally, or if you know them, go knock on their door for us. But that's, to the best of my ability, the way to get in touch with the community. So those are the ways that we did. It was a holiday weekend, but we're public servants, so we understand that we're not guided by a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday thing. The city manager, me, and Ed Queen worked on this throughout the community, making sure that the citizens got the information they needed throughout the weekend. A few people asked about why we didn't put it on the emergency sirens throughout the community. That was ultimately my decision. I feel like those sirens are really just for things like tornadoes, something like that. That was my decision. If I had to do it again, I would do it the same way. As I said, we're happy to accept suggestions, but that's it. Thank you.
I think that was, that concluded the city manager's report. And moving the agenda, public comments for matters not on the agenda. Public comment is conducted in accordance with local, state, and federal laws. Each public comment is limited to 3 minutes, which will begin when the speaker approaches the podium, unless modified by a majority vote of city council. Public comment shall not be disruptive nor contain profanity, racial, ethnic, religious, sexual, or national origin slurs or overtones. Public comment shall not contain defaming or slanderous personal attacks. All public comments shall be directed to the city council, and the city council will not respond during public comments. Any violation of the public comment procedure shall constitute a breach of the peace. If a member of the public engages in such breach of the peace, they may be ordered to be seated immediately or removed from the meeting by the chairperson of that meeting.
Public comment?
Aye.
Please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. As I have come here 3 city meetings in a row, and I have asked this question, but here's your city postage, 60 cents, Ms. Clerk. To a response like this. 3 paragraphs. And a FOIA request attached. And give it to Lisa Nocerini, City Manager. I think the question was simple. And I'll make it simple again, because I don't want 60 cents on a FOIA again. The question was, how much did the city pay for special counsel in their progress to make a judicial complaint against former Anthony Miller, which is it is in federal court now, as well as many others. And they stated they hired special counsel for it. And I wanted to know the amount of money. Councilman Brock, thank you very much. Porter, sorry to see you leave. Transparency is it. We have said it before, and I don't care if you're on the electronic web or anything. Transparency is the documentation that I voted for you, or you. Transparency through my government officials is meaningful. The whole thing that's being held up and things, and I'm sure you're well aware of it, it's because we had an investigation 4 years ago of a hostile work environment. And seeing that my time is going, I ask you for 12 more seconds, sir.
Council want to vote on that?
Give me time, please.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. 12 seconds.
I know no safe depository of ultimate powers of the society but the people themselves, and if we think them not enlightened enough to exercise these controls with a wholesome discretion, with the remedy not to take them, but to inform their discretion by education. This is true and a corrective abuse of the constitutional powers of the United States. An enlightened citizenry is indispensable
There were 12 seconds
for
are
the
up.
public function of a republic. Self-government is not possible, enables the citizens are educated sufficiently to enable them to exercise oversight. It is therefore imperative for the nation to see
Okay,
that.
it's been a minute and 10 seconds. That's over 12,
Therefore,
Minutes.
let it be
12 seconds. Please be seated.
be educated. That was by one of your founding fathers who fought for that flag. Thank you. And if you need some history on Thomas Jefferson, please visit our library.
Anyone else?
Good afternoon, Bernadette Brock. One of the features that our website does carry is something called Notify Me. So once everybody can put in their phone number, I'd like to see that on a cable channel so that residents know that it exists. But as soon as that boil water advisory was posted on the website, I got a text message. As soon as the agendas are posted, instantly I get a text message. So if people want to be aware of things going on in the city, we have those resources. You just have to reach for them. It is easy, simple. If you have a problem, reach out to one of the council members. I'm sure they'll help you put your phone number in so that you get that text message. Everybody carries a cell phone these days. And I got that text message on 5/26 at 5:41 p.m., boil water advisory, and I can click it and read the message from the city. So I would like to see that on the cable channel so that the residents know that that service exists on our website. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pride?
The last time, I'm Nancy Pride. The last time I was trying to see the council meeting, because I'm a very busy person, I was trying to see the talk about the water bill and how it was going to be presented to us as citizens and what was going to happen. All I know is I was listening to some of you talk, and then when Lisa talked, it froze. And there was nothing after that. She was just in one word and it was frozen. So I thought, well, I'll turn the TV off and go back in and maybe it'll reboot it. Nope. Then there was nothing. So I'm concerned about that I wasn't able to see the council meeting discussing our raise in our water fee. The other thing that I heard was that we voted on having the police being able to take fingerprints in the automobile. Is that right? In the automobile. He would be able to, or she would be able to say, we need your fingerprints. Most of the time that I've ever seen, fingerprints are done when you've been booked. So how legally can they do this? My fingerprints are not in the police department at all. So how can they take a citizenry out in their car and say we demand it or that we want you? I'm like, this is going to cause a problem. Because they may have rights to say that I'm not giving you my fingerprints. Unless it's court ordered or you charge me and take me into the police department and take my fingerprints. So I'm just asking, what are we going to do about this? Okay, so the other thing is, the boil water thing I learned from TV. And I boiled, and then I was told through the cable that it was okay that we no longer had to boil water. Okay, so I kind of pictured in my mind where the water company is and how long it takes for them to get the water through our pipes. And I continued to boil water for another 4 days so that all the lines were flushed. Thank you.
Anyone else? Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I just wanted to give my sincere thanks for the kind words and for the kind gestures for my husband. Bob truly loved the city. A lot of people may not have agreed with him on some of his things that he's done, but he was always doing things for the betterment of the people. And he was a good guy. And I think back to even the original Playscape at Atwood Park that he chaired on that. But again, my sincere thank you to those of you who came to visit and said the kind words. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor, City Council, I'm Vern Amos. We're gonna miss you, Tom.
I'll be here, not here, somewhere.
I'd like to thank the people responsible for getting this air fixed. It's long overdue. It's definitely comfortable in here tonight. Say the last year or so has never been this comfortable. Other than that, I think the money spent for the League of Women's Voters, they have a list, and I would, as a person, citizen of this city for over 50 years, I would hope, and I'm not saying that a certain individual hasn't done a great job. They have. But I think we need to use that list in that search. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, move the agenda, please.
Item number 8 is the consent calendar, 3 items. Wayne Downtown Development Authority meeting minutes of April 12th, Wayne Commission on Aging meeting minutes of May 9th, 2023, and Wayne Planning Commission meeting minutes of May 9th, 2023.
Motion to approve, Porter.
Support Ross.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Comments from members of City Council.
Councilman Clareman?
I've received a lot of questions lately about the traffic light just south of train tracks on Merriman Road. It's actually in Westland on that side, and it's a Wayne County road. But I looked into that, and Wayne County put it there to try and reduce the number of train accidents we're having. The cars have been bunching up at the stoplight on Michigan Avenue, such that we had cars parked on the train tracks. The stoplight's placed there to prevent the cars from being on the tracks. So, although it might be an inconvenience, it's a safety issue. The second thing I have to say is I've been contacted by several folks about the lawn ordinances. From my understanding, they haven't actually taken care, or they haven't actually put any fines out yet. It's just been an issue of the warning letters going out, so they know the fines will be coming in the future if they don't take care of the lawns. That said, if you're having any problems with that, please email me at the email I have on the city website. Mail me here at City Hall if you use postal mail, or contact me on my Facebook page if you have any other questions or concerns about that. And Tom, we will miss you. Thank you all.
Councilman Mulholland?
I don't think I'm going to go back and rehash what we just all went over. Obviously, it's pretty emotional. People are pretty embedded in their decisions. I'm looking forward to us forming a committee to look at a process to hire a city manager, which would include the current city manager. The word handle didn't throw me off. The resolution we had in front of us, it was what it was, and I hope we can do better with the next time. One other thing, school is out. Kids are going to be out on their bicycles and tricycles and darting in and out of cars. An 8-year-old was already killed down in the city of Detroit. So please slow down in the neighborhoods. Be aware of the kids. They're out there playing ball. They're in the streets when they probably shouldn't be. So please be careful and slow down some. Tom, we're going to miss you. You've got a great retirement, I'm going to say again, ahead of you here, and we'll miss you on Tuesday nights. But I know that you're going to enjoy the time with your family, and congratulations to you for that.
Councilman Ross?
So that notify me thing is a really great idea. Thank you for that. Ms. Borgie, truly sorry for your loss. Sorry wasn't here 2 weeks ago. I apologize for the tears. I should have maybe taken one more council meeting off. Thank you all for the condolences for my mom. Tom, we really will miss you. I would like to say one thing on this whole process. I appreciate transparency, and we should be transparent. We should make sure that you guys all have the information you need. I feel like we are trying to do that. But I also feel like we have these agendas at least 3 or 4 days in advance. These questions could have been asked, talked about before this, and none of the grandstanding needed to happen. With that, I will pass.
Thank you.
Councilman Brock?
I want to thank everyone that came out to clean up at Seroptimus Park at our last cleanup. That was great. It's always good to see folks, and I invite everyone to come and join us at our next one. I spoke to Senator Stabenow's office today concerning the lead pipe issue. They called me, and the senator agreed that this is important. I was informed that money and opportunities have been given to the states to get this work done. Not only in Michigan, but across the country, the states now have to get the money out and award it to the communities. Here in Michigan, that is not happening. Please contact your state senator and state representative to ensure that Eagle spends the money they have been given. Governor Whitmer has apparently gifted the money to Eagle. It is Governor Whitmer's fault that allows Eagle to take 20 years to complete this necessary work to correct this public health emergency. This 20-year time period must be truncated by this governor at this time. It is taking too long. Our children will suffer because of this delay by Governor Whitmer and Eagle. The money to fix this is here in Michigan, and Eagle has it. To my understanding, Eagle is loaning the money out, not to be a good steward of the cash the governor unloaded on them, but in order to ensure an income for their department over this 20-year period. Instead of doing the work that needs to be done to protect our children, Eagle is causing hardship. The money that has been assigned to clear up the lead lines needs to be spent on that work. Won't you contact your state senator and state representative today? Thank you.
Councilman Dowd?
Thank you. I want to start by saying that I attended Bob's funeral, and one of the most astounding things that came to my eyes was the amount of pictures, the amount of life that was in the 2 suites that he occupied at the funeral home. Truly will be missed. But he's a great man. He loved the city. I know that we have champions of the city. I consider him a diamond of the city. Myself, I really can't say anything more on that. I don't want to cry up here right now. The Rules and Procedures Committee that Mayor had appointed, we met. We've gone through the current rules and procedures. I'm going to organize our findings, and I'll get with Lisa and the mayor and with Mr. Bosnick on the next step in this process of reviewing and recommendations on the rules and procedures. I did notice also, surprisingly, she's not here tonight. I thought that she must be working, but the library has a jazz concert tomorrow, 6 p.m., which sounds delightful. One of the last things I want to talk about is Nixle. I understand not everybody is on the interweb, and I understand not everybody has a television with cable, but everybody has a phone, and everybody knows somebody that has internet. It's very easy to go on to Nixle.com and put your phone number in and get text messages on any city you want. I personally get them for all the surrounding communities. I get it for Romulus, I get it for Taylor, I get it for Wayne, I get it for Canton, and I get it for Westland. Seems like Westland uses it a lot. But it is a very simple process, just as Mrs. Brock had mentioned. Notify Me is biggest day, third thing on the website, tells you what to do. Again, not everybody may have internet, but everybody knows somebody that does. Ironically, I don't know too many people that don't have a smartphone, so you have internet. It's just a matter of, Nancy, I invite you to come over to my house, we'll sign you up tomorrow. You know where I'm at. If you have a phone that gets text messages, you get text messages. So you just got to apply the two together. If you need the internet, you can come over to my house. Lastly, I just want to talk about Tom a little bit. I know we've all said our piece on this matter. I have had many conversations with Tom, and I applaud him for sticking it out as much as he has. Would I like to see him make it all the way through? Definitely, because I know at his heart he would like to stick it out, but he has to take his personal life and his immediate goals into consideration. And I think I'll just go with, which I do all the time now. What would Tom do? Bracelet. I'll just have a tattoo right here that says, "What would Tom do?" I'll pass.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. So I prepared a little going away gift for everybody. Friends and neighbors, have you heard throughout this meeting, I submitted my resignation. I put off this day as long as I possibly could. Effective tomorrow, Wednesday, June 21st, 2023, my resignation will be final and official. We have been through the good times and the bad times. and I hope that I've not disappointed you too much. I've worked to try and bring this city back from the brink of financial disaster, as has every one of the people in this city council, previous city councils, as well as the administration and the staff. We sometimes had to do things that were extremely hurtful to others, as well as to us. But they weren't done out of dislike, but necessity. To the mayor and city council, you have my utmost respect for serving your community. I hope and pray you continue to have the inner courage and foresight to make the decisions necessary to keep this city on the right track. To the administration and staff, you have my thanks for helping me along the way. We didn't always agree, but we worked one and all, many, many long hours to make sure our city would prosper in the future. To all my friends, neighbors, residents, and yes, those that dislike me, I wish you the very best of luck in the future. Bonnie and I made this our home 33 years ago and have done what we could to make this a good place to live and raise a family. I wish we could have done more, but it was not because we didn't try. I love our city and all of the proud residents that make this their home. To these residents, I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have treated me with respect and kindness, and I will never forget this. I'm sorry I have to leave council at this time, but my health says I cannot serve you, my constituents, with the hard work you deserve from a member of council. No matter what the future holds, I will love this city and its residents and hold you close to my heart forever. Thank you for everything you have all done while I was on this city council and a resident of this city. May God bless you all. And as a last thing, this has to be a ward appointment to fill my role, but to all those in Ward 3 that didn't like the things that are going on, step up. I don't want to hear it. I want to see the action. Step up and come in here and interview for this position. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tom. That's a hard one to follow. But you definitely are going to be missed, and I'd like to have you come back to a council meeting so we can,
I'll come in and throw darts at you guys.
pencils, just pencils. But, no, thank you for your service to the community. I'm going to just respond to Mr. Osborne's comment this evening. He showed us a FOIA request. I'd ask him to please fill that out. If you want that information, you have to fill out that FOIA request. It's required for the type of information you're having, and where nobody's refusing to give it to you, they're just asking you to fill out the FOIA request. That's the proper way to do it. And I'm not going to get back into our thing really, but I do want to say, a few people mentioned this, the phone works both ways, and I only had one council person reach out to me and had any issues, and I, through email, went back and forth with them. If somebody has questions, please call me, talk to me. I've been available, but I've received no phone calls. When I'm normally the one that calls all of you, but the phone goes both ways. With that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So motioned.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
What's that?
Are you supposed to say nay on the
Yeah.
last one?
I guess, probably.